Little wind drops, 5 o'clock, so not much.
Okay. I'll call the August 6th City Council meeting to order. Call the roll.
John Hawkins,
Here.
Matt McKinney,
Here.
Brian Miller,
Here.
Jim Talbot,
Here.
Logan Welch,
Call for a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
with the removal,
With the removal of, what are we,
item number 13.
13. And, is that all in one?
That's it.
No,
And then the public hearing we won't be able to have.
we're not doing the public hearing, yes. And the public hearing for item 1, the 535 public hearing, we won't be doing that one either. So
So with the removal of the first public hearing and agenda item 13.
yeah.
13 and which other one?
The number 1 public hearing, the first public hearing,
At 5:35.
535. So it would have been the first thing on the agenda, 1 and 13.
All right, thank you.
We have a second?
Okay.
All those in favour say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion approved. Pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 8, petitions, communications and requests. This is the time of a meeting that a citizen may address the council on a matter not on the agenda. Except in case of emergency, the City Council will not take any action at this meeting but may ask city staff to research the matter or have the matter placed on the agenda for a future meeting. Does anyone have any?
Well, until we know what the proposal is, we probably don't have anything to speak on.
Oh, yeah, that's fine. Anyone have any public information?
I have one comment.
Yeah.
I'd like to thank the police, the electric, and the public works department. Yesterday, I had a chance to go around in the morning. All those guys are out doing an excellent job, so please convey thanks for doing a great job.
Yeah, they were out most of the night last night and worked all day yesterday because the storms kept coming and they kept having trees down. So all tree-related power outages. We did the Boone River cleanup, fairly large group of us on Saturday morning, and we got 35 tyres. We did we went from Briggswoods down the river, but 35 tyres, 750 pound of scrap metal, and 34 cubic yards of garbage out of the river. So that was a good thing. And then don't forget the National Night Out between 5 and 7 tomorrow night on Bank and Seneca Street. The law enforcement's doing that. Other than that, anyone else got any? No? Okay, I'd like to do a presentation and acknowledgement for 2 past board and commission members. Will Ron Berkestrand, Bob Burns and Brent Johnson please come to the podium? Ron served on our airport commission from 2011 to 2018. Thank you very much, Ron.
Thank you.
Thank you for your help. Thank you very much.
Did you do that?
Yeah, it's pretty simple. Brent, we've got the Park and Rec Advisory Commission from 2002 to 2018. Thank you very much. And then we have Bob Burns on the Traffic Study Committee from 2014 to 2018. Okay. And then we'd already given out Bob Burnett. He's actually left town already. He served on the Planning and Zoning Commission from 91 until 2018. So and he's already got his spot because he's already left town. We'd like to thank him if he gets to see it on the YouTube or something. Bob Burnett. And then we have Kathy Olson, was on the Zoning Board of Adjustments from 2013 to 2018, and Laurie Graham served on the Wilson Brewer Park Commission from 2012 to 2018. So we'd like to thank them. And they'll be receiving these. They couldn't be here tonight. Thank you. Item B, minutes and claims. Where following items have been deemed non-controversial routine actions to be approved by the council in a single motion. If a council member or a member of the audience wishes to have an item removed from this list, it will be considered in its normal sequence on the agenda. We have item 1 as minutes for July 16th, 2018. Item 2 is a resolution on payroll for the period ending July 21st and paid on July 27th of 2018. And 3 is a resolution on bills and the fund list.
I'll move to approve collectively.
Second.
All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion approved. Item C on the agenda. The general agenda. What do you want to do? It's a little early, isn't it?
First public hearing is canceled because we didn't receive any bids on that relocation project. So they're gonna go out to rebid that.
Do you want to do item 4? It's a
Yep.
fairly simple one. Item 4 is a motion on request from St Thomas Aquinas Parish Youth Group to close Des Moines Street between Bank Street and Water Streets on Sunday, September 23 from 12:30 p.m. till 4 p.m. for a car show.
Same one they do every year.
Same one they do every year.
I'll move
so.
to approve. Second.
All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion approved. Item 5 is a motion to accept the resignation of the city manager, Daniel Ortiz Hernandez, effective August 31st. It's a formality now, I guess, but sorry, we'll be missing.
Move to approve. Second.
All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion approved. Item 6 is a motion to approve appointment of Kent Harfs as interim city manager effective August 31st of 2018 at 5 p.m. Kent, we're relying on you again.
Move to approve.
Sorry it's so soon. But
Brian moved and Jim second.
all those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion approved. We got a bit of time.
7.
Recommend approval for issuance of a beer and liquor licences by the Iowa Department of Commerce for the following. A, renewal of a Class C beer permit, Class B wine permit, Sunday sales for Chopco Hometown, number 564 at 200 Red Bull Division Drive.
Move to approve.
Second.
All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion approved. We'll keep going.
Yep.
Item 8 is a council memorandum, a resolution setting a time and place for a public hearing on proposed sale of city-owned property located on Ohio Street, Webster City, Iowa, for August 20th at 5:45 p.m.
Where on Ohio Street?
This is the old hospital site.
So I see in the memo you had a couple interested developers.
So we'll have a closed session on.
Right, yeah. We'll discuss more in detail, but primarily we're looking to sell it so the city isn't developing it, right? Like,
True.
and that's-
These would be residential developers.
Right. And tonight we're just setting the date for the hearing.
Yes.
Move to approve.
All those in favour say aye. Opposed, same sign. What are we going to do?
Go on.
Item 9 is a council memorandum resolution providing for a notice of hearing on proposed plans and specifications and proposed form of contract and estimate of costs for the 2018 Dubuque Street Bridge Repair Project for September 4th at 5:35 p.m. So this is fairly straightforward, I guess. You want to talk about it?
Sure, really talked about, this is the Dubuque Street Bridge Repair Project, so it's gonna develop the plans and specifications for repairs, work to be done to the bridge, which includes the abutments, the deck, the sidewalk, the expansion joints, the deck drains, and the approaches to the bridge, and those sidewalks on top of that, so. Total estimated, financial implication, the estimated total construction is $252,350. Total cost with engineering and observations, brings the estimated engineer's, estimate of $311,000.
And again, that's just setting the public hearing for,
Do we have a motion?
So moved. Second.
All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Go back, I think.
Motion approved. Item 2 on the agenda is 5:45. 5:40. Item 2 is a 5:40 p.m. public hearing on proposed amendment to the residential urban renewal area A, residential A plan amendment and bridge affordable housing development. I will open the hearing. Are there any written objections?
No written objections?
Are there any oral objections?
We wanna know, is that the Edgewood Drive area that you're talking about now?
This is in the Strucken edition. So this is not, this is a,
Okay.
he'll show you.
Bicentennial
So
and
this is
Oakwood.
bicentennial and,
Okay,
so yeah, there was some confusion, I believe, between, because this had LMI written on it, but it's not. Anyway, this is the single lots that he's building houses on in that
okay.
edition. The other one that's coming up is just the plat, wasn't it?
Preliminary plat.
The preliminary plat for his place. It's nothing to do with LMI or anything like that, so, yeah.
So I'd say no oral objections.
No oral objections, yes. I will close the hearing. Call on you, Daniel.
Sure, I think, if you may recall, in the past couple meetings, we talked about, Ridge Development LLC interested in building 9 single-family residential homes, in the existing lots or the lots that are remaining out there in that subdivision. So this is just one of the first steps in that process for him to be able to leverage, TIF that might be available in that urban renewal area. Once the urban renewal plan is updated to add this additional project, and a development agreement would be worked out with the developer for him to be able to capture that TIF, and subject to council approval at a later date.
So a call for motion on the resolution to approve urban renewal plan amendment for the residential urban renewal area A, 2018 residential A plan amendment of Ridge Affordable Housing Development. So moved.
Second.
All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Do we got a second? Is that that was the resolution?
Yep.
Okay.
We need to drop down to
We better drop that down.
number 10.
Go back down to item 10. There's a council memorandum request from the finance director to purchase a Relay 3000 inserter machine from Pitney Bowers for the finance utility office.
This is the machine in the utility office that inserts all the utility bills and any other mass mailings that we send out, and stuffs them in the envelopes and things of that sort. The price that's included in the memo of $11,439.10 is the price under the state contract. It also would include annual maintenance cost of $1,427.20. There is the option to lease this piece of equipment, which over the 5-year, 60-month term will total $19,988.40. It's just a shy over what the overall cost would be of the piece of equipment plus the annual maintenance costs over the same term. You could really go either way. We were initially looking at the purchase agreement, purchase option, just since we've always owned that piece of equipment, with the annual maintenance costs associated with that, and the possibility that at the end of that term you might have some value to trade in or to sell. we've had this brand previously. It's not the current brand we have, and we've had some issues with it. So we wanted to go back to a prior brand that we had previous to this unit that the staff seem to have better luck with and functioning and things of that sort.
I believe these people don't have a call-out fee either. I think the last company had a 110 call-out fee on top of the maintenance service
call,
fee.
yeah, mileage, yep.
So,
Move to approve.
second. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion approved.
Go back to item 3.
We'll go back to item 3. Is on the agenda is at 5:45 p.m. is the time for a public hearing on proposed offer to buy real estate and acceptance of city-owned property located in Shady Subdivision at Webster City, Iowa. I will open the hearing. Are there any written objections?
No written objections?
Are there any oral objections?
No oral objections.
I will close the hearing. Daniel, if you want to touch on that. Or...
Sure, this is the real estate agreements for the sale of the lot next to the gridiron that the city acquired last year. It was subject to, court process where the previous owner was unfortunately lost possession of the property as part of his plea agreements, relinquished control of the property, which the city took over. Earlier this year, as you recall, we tore down the existing structures and the buildings that were there, as well as abated the asbestos that were in the buildings. You solicited a request or obtained an offer from the proprietors of the gridiron who are seeking to acquire the property as part of their business expansion.
Okay, I'll call for a motion on the resolution authorising execution of a warranty deed conveying city-owned property Lot 3, Shady Oaks Subdivision to Webster City, Iowa, to BK Enterprises LLC, in the amount of his bid of $19,900 plus legal and associated costs.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion approved. Where are we at? Hang on. We got a
Just a
5.
second here.
You're up.
We're on number 11.
So we're down to it. We've done them all.
Wastewater treatment.
Resolution, number 11 is a resolution approving the purchase of the wastewater treatment plant heating, ventilation and air conditioning HVAC units.
So this action item is for 3 AC units at the wastewater treatment plant. 2 of those units are currently not operable. Another unit services the office area. We received 3 quotes, one from Stein Heating and Cooling, Reliable One, and Mechanical Comfort. The lowest quote from Reliable One being $17,043.29. The second lowest quote was from Stein Heating and Cooling for $18,621. Stein Heating and Cooling being a local vendor, the 5% local vendor kind of falls into play, but unfortunately their quote was 9% higher than the lowest quote, so the recommendation is to move forward with Reliable One's quote.
With not being, an HVAC expert or anything, do you see an apples to apples comparison between Stein and Reliable One? Like there's nothing outstanding to you looking at the bids that.
No, at least nothing that stood out. So that's the one thing I had Tim look at, was making sure it was going to be an apples to apples comparison as best as possible to serve the needs of the wastewater treatment plant.
I mean, that's what I do for a living. I think they look great. I like the equipment that we're going with. So
The 5%, now that would be a huge needle mover if, say, it was like a $200,000 or like a $500,000 bid. The difference between Stein and Reliable One is roughly $1,600. Reliable One is located in Iowa Falls, Iowa. Nothing against Iowa Falls. Mechanical Comfort is Ames. Okay. Again, I think it's so close. I don't know why we wouldn't go with the local service provider. We've sent cars back to bid and other things over less than this. Again, a 5% to a 9% difference between the two, equaling about $1,500-$1,600. I think it's best to go with a local contractor than it is to outsource. But
Anyone else? I mean, it is a fairly low yield.
Yeah, I'm inclined.
I guess the trouble is we set it at 5%, but I don't.
That's my only concern is we're setting a precedent. I mean, we've gone with a 5% policy in the past. And do we change that to be 5% or X number of dollars so we don't run into a, $150,000 bid for, and it's a 5% difference, which is 6% difference, which could be more money.
well, that's the beauty of elected officials, is setting precedents at certain percentages is kind of making our jobs irrelevant. I think we should weigh out each case by case and see which is the best fit if it's comfortable with the current council makeup. I really am indifferent. If it was two local contractors, that'd be a different story. Obviously we'd go with the lower, but again, I don't know when we set that 5% precedent.
Well, I don't think we didn't
Right,
set
it's
it,
been,
so.
yeah, it's.
It's in the purchasing policy that way. I mean, that's how it's set up.
But it's still up to council discretion.
Did we have any timing on anything? I suppose we haven't got Tim here to know. But, if there's any timing difference.
I know the two have been inoperable for a short period of time.
I just wondered if Stein was going to get it on it any quicker than the other people, or the other way around.
Don't know if that played a role.
I mean, the Stein equipment does have a better warranty.
Is it?
10-year compared to 1 and 5.
That's the difference.
Well, I hope that helps my case.
I think it does.
Well, then I'll do this. I'll make a motion to accept Stein Heating and Cooling's bid for $18,621.
I would throw in by exception though, because of the, like Brian said, length of the warranty.
Warranty, yep.
Yeah, I mean, you said 1 and 5 years?
Yeah, trains have 1 on parts and 5 on compressor, and apparently York has 10 on AC unit compressor, and it doesn't say parts, but 10 on the fan coil unit, so.
Okay. Do we have a second?
I'm fine with that, knowing the difference.
Is that
Okay.
a
Is that a
second then? Is that a
Yeah,
second?
I can second it, that's fine.
Okay.
I thought Jim already said.
So all those in
That's fine.
favour say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We're coming up to Steins. So. Okay.
But I think, in conjunction with that, it was a good point we brought up that way. I think we need to review it, but then, we talked apples to apples, but then, Brian pointed out the differences in the warranties. So I think that's something we have to consider over time. I mean, just stewardship of city money. And
Agree.
makes a difference here.
Well, it is, it's a, that's one of the things I looked at this morning the other day when I was looking at it and thinking, it seems close, but I was wondering what the percentage was.
Just as a heads up, I'm gonna double check too on the competitive bidding laws, cause I know that there's laws out there about accepting the lowest bid if they're apples to apples. Now, I don't know about warranty issues, and I don't know also, cause there's a question, it's come up before, but that's when it's over 100,000
Yeah.
is a bid too, so I just wanna, I'm okay with what's been happening, I just wanna make sure we're not getting it sued anyway. So.
Yeah. I'd like to think we weren't
Well,
going to get
obviously,
sued over $1,800, but.
there's a difference in equipment, just
Right.
model name right there, so I mean.
Right, I just wanna make sure that I'll give you guys, before we send the check, I'll give you guys the title, or at least the legal opinion on it, so you have something to rest your head on, so.
Okay. All right, item 12 is a resolution tentatively accepting and approving the preliminary plat of Dean's Ridge Subdivision, Webster City, Iowa. So this is the one that this is the one that came to listen to. This Dean's Ridge is the one that's across the street from it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So what are the changes on this?
There isn't any changes other than it's the plat. It's giving the positions of the official positions. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's a preliminary, I guess, legal boundaries, where the parcels, the right-of-ways, key features are going to be. And then this is being the preliminary plat, and a final plat would just be presented to the council on a future date with even much more detail of where things get finalized. So here you see the outline of the roads, the parcels, the access points to existing infrastructure, or I should say existing roads.
How does that relate to what was preliminarily presented? Is it pretty much the same?
Well, you have.
It looks like it.
Yeah, it looks similar to the original. I guess that was the problem with the original. We didn't really know where it positioned itself exactly.
And obviously, when I show this on Google Earth, it's not a 2 scale. It was best of how to fit pieces to overlay over the existing roads.
Yeah, because if you look at it actually there, it looks like the street actually comes in between those two houses,
Correct.
which it doesn't. Yeah.
I know this is not germane, but I still share the concerns about the increased traffic on that Bicentennial Road once this gets started.
Sorry, we can't hear.
I'm sorry, no, my initial concern was, and still is, about the initial traffic load is gonna go on Bicentennial, because I've driven out there several times, and that road is gonna need maintenance sooner or later. Chances are it's gonna be sooner now.
Edgewood.
Edgewood, I'm sorry, yeah, Edgewood, thank you. Edgewood, because, you know, I think a lot of that's asphalt in it. Like a lot of other streets in Webster City need a lot of help. And I'm just afraid that's gonna throw a tremendous traffic load on, especially with those apartment houses. And I would just soon see them move, but
What was this zone to? What zoning did you put this at?
It's a
Because
plan
that's
unit
when the
development.
original- I beg your pardon?
It's a plan unit development.
Okay, so the zoning rules do not apply to this?
They do, but to the PUD, the PUD essentially overlaps the existing zoning. So long as they conform to what they're going to be building out and submitted as part of the plan, then they're in compliance. So if they deviate from the plan, then they either have to come back to the city for an amendment or revert to the existing underlying zoning, which I think in this case is residential. So if any parts of this don't follow through with their plans, then it would revert to residential.
Well, we were led to believe that you were going to drop the zoning. That's why we're here this evening.
Oh,
To zoning 2 again.
no.
I'm not sure where you would have heard that.
We thought it went to zoning 3 so we could build the 3-story apartments. Isn't that correct? That's why it went to PUD, because we won the other 2 zoning, where it wasn't gonna go to, but you guys decided it went to PUD or whatever, then turned around and made it a 3-story apartment. And now, if it went to 2-story apartment, for zoning 2, they should drop back down to 2-story high instead of 3.
Yeah, it's nothing to do with zoning, this isn't.
But that's my biggest
Can
concern
you,
is, will you guarantee
can you come
us-
up to the podium then, if we're gonna have a big long discussion over this, we'll.
My concern is this gonna turn into low-income apartments? Can you guarantee me that they're not gonna?
What does low income mean to you?
It means people gotta have assisted help to pay for their apartments, which are gonna be, which would we like to? This Dave Walter said they're $900 to $1,200 a month apartments. Granite tops, hardwood floors. But now, is it gonna turn around? These apartments gonna be low income with all this fancy stuff in it, where the rest of them are gonna go pay, aren't we?
There's nothing in that preliminary plat that has any reference to low income housing. This is just a preliminary plat that outlines the legal boundaries that you see there.
That's fine, all I'm asking, are they gonna be low-income apartments?
No.
Do you have
He
any?
never at any stage said that would be
Do
low
you
income
think so?
apartments.
No, I don't. I mean, let me put it this way.
Let me ask you one more other
In
question.
20
Is there-
years of the economy shifts and real estate shifts, then I could see that happening. But as they're designed and intended today, no, they're gonna hover around $1,000 a unit. And again, we have to rely on the management of that building to uphold that, it's not really legally binding to the city, but I
As
know.
long as, you know, that's what I'm worried about. You know, it's gonna just, if it goes to low-income apartments, you know what's gonna happen to our community out there. You know what's gonna go on.
Will the people put up fences like you did?
Yes, they will.
Oh, no, I said, will those,
what I'm gonna ask
will
if
those
they do,
people put up
can I put a
fences
barbed
like,
wire across
if those
the
people
top?
put up fences like you
Because you
did,
know
I would
what
like
kind
to
of
move
people
out
are
of
gonna
the
get.
neighbourhood.
You know as well as I do.
I mean, what you did out there was fairly disgusting.
Well,
The
but I
fence.
did, I did, because.
Good
let's
try.
It really
get to the
was.
point. Look what I went
That's
through.
that's a fact.
I lose 25% of the value of my house, and you don't want me to care?
No, I appreciate your concern, and as everyone should for their property value. It's your wealth accumulation, you know, it's.
I don't think you're helping your property value.
You know, I don't
yourself,
really,
But, no, but I understand, however, tonight, we're literally just setting the plat.
that's fine.
But I understand the hesitation and the concern. Do I feel they're gonna be low income? I really don't.
Okay,
I really don't.
that's what I'm really worried about.
And if they were to become that
If,
eventually,
can
then
you,
that's.
excuse me, can you just hold a minute? If you've got something to say in the audience here, can you go outside? Otherwise, be quiet, please.
But I'm just
Okay,
asking.
because it's been a little much tonight.
You gave up your evening to come down and share your concern, and I appreciate that, and I would, I guess, inquire as well if I shared a property line with the apartments or with the development. I totally understand. I know you guys are, you know, probably seeing some construction pains as well out there right now, with some topsoil getting turned up and the implements.
You see where they park everything?
Yeah. You know. But again.
Exactly, right against my property line.
But again, it's, I guess it comes down to, you know, these things are gonna happen in Webster City in the near future, and unfortunately, it is gonna affect some property owners.
But you know, we didn't complain the first time. We knew something like this was gonna happen. But we just wanted them moved. We wanted them to have the apartment
Right.
somewhere else, put the houses by us or townhouse. If these come into low-income apartments, how many townhouses gonna get sold up there? 0.
So last time you were here, all this same line of questions came up, right?
Exact same
And,
thing.
and as far as we were told and all our knowledge base, nothing has changed. It's all exactly the same.
We were told, the reason we came this evening, we were told there was going to be a change in zoning.
So they
Whether
have
this
low-income
was-
apartments.
Well, unfortunately, there seemed to be a bit of confusion between whoever read the, what was on to the thing tonight. I mean, and I got a call from one of the residents and he asked me and I told him what was going on with it. I mean, I
That's
don't
the
know.
reason I
Somebody
came,
got something wrong.
was because they said there was going to be a zoning.
Come on up to the podium, Mary.
No, I share the concern about the location of the apartment, I expressed
Yeah,
that.
I'll agree with you with the street too, you know, but the biggest problem is gonna be, if you're gonna put curb and gutter, which you said, it isn't even measured, it isn't wide enough. What, are you gonna tear out my hedge to make it wider? Can you, is
We'll
the
tell
city
you in
gonna buy
advance.
it?
You're right, Mary. Thank you.
I was told, I was in Iowa City today and I had a phone call and I was told that we will be taxed on this. Is this true, our land?
Taxed on what?
That's what I was told by a girl.
No.
So you can
You mean-
handwritten that and say, we will not be extra taxed on this by our land,
Taxed on what?
on the development.
No. You won't be taxed on, you
So
wouldn't, you haven't got.
you'll write us a thing so we have something in writing because they weren't gonna cut the trees down, they are. Now the driveway is right coming into my bedroom.
Why would that
And it was
development
supposed to be
be?
between Rasmussen and me, and it's not anymore. I mean, I just think there's a lot of lying.
Well, I don't, you know, the trouble with the original, the way the map was as it showed it just before the one that Daniel superimposed over the Google Earth was that it did look like it would come between those two houses. Unfortunately, Daniel did that so that we had an idea with it. And without going out and actually measuring it, which is probably what should have been done, maybe we wouldn't have had it exactly where it was, and maybe we wouldn't have had the power pole and things. But unfortunately, when they've measured it out, that's where it ended up, is coming out where you are.
So my house was there before,
Mm-hmm.
and we have the street coming right at my house.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I have a log cabin home. If somebody hits it, it's ruined.
Yeah.
I mean, so You know, it was supposed to be between or what, how did this come up? And you guys passed
Well,
that.
it didn't come up, originally it was between it only because that's superimposed.
But you're
It
lying,
wasn't measured out.
because it wasn't supposed to be that way, it was supposed to be between. I asked that question, and it should be in your minutes.
Did you ask that question? where it
I
was
asked
gonna
the
come out?
question where the road was going to come, yes.
No, I didn't address that issue that I know of.
I think if you look in your notes, that in your minutes, you would have it. Before you guys, no, I mean, I do remember that.
Well, unfortunately, it's, if you'd have got the exact measurements and gone across the street, measured it out and said, yep, it's gonna come between my house, and before we ever set the PUD, we could have done something. But the minute the PUD was authorised, unfortunately, we can't change it, because that means he has to take the whole thing back. And so, it's what it is.
So he kinda lied then, cause he said,
He didn't lie, I don't know if he measured, I don't know whether he lied, I don't remember
now
exactly what he
wait,
said.
people go to engineer, my son went to engineering. You know what things are, things can be changed. We're not that stupid.
They can't be changed when the PUD, it cannot be changed. Unless they go back, we cancel the whole thing out. If they change anything in the PUD, then the whole lot's off.
Well, so then that doesn't make Webster City not progress, and we want it to progress.
Why isn't it progress? Because
If we change one thing, the whole thing's off.
Well,
So
in that-
that
in that
means
particular-
Webster City will not progress.
the way that piece is set there, it can't be changed.
Yeah, the point of the PUD is to protect us from him changing stuff that's out of line too.
So it's okay that somebody
So
has a driveway.
He's not allowed to change anything, or the
Edgewood
PUD's-
Drive
the
comes
PUD's
right my-
notified.
Well, unfortunately, yeah, it's unfortunate.
You're taking it as John saying that he physically can't move it. Could he physically? Yes, but as soon as he does, the PUD's canceled out, and then he has to go based on whatever current zone.
So why was that approved when you guys didn't know exactly where it was? Cause I asked that question.
We're approving the plat right now, correct?
No, this is the plat, but we've already approved the PUD, which means that he's had it where it is.
So I can put a
The only
big
thing
brick thing up my thing, so,
You can legally put whatever fence you'd like up there, as long as it goes in line with whatever the fencing code is, but I mean, where the street, I didn't actually measure it out to know whether the street was gonna come in.
so you're not doing your job, is what you're doing.
So you think that I should be an engineer and go
Well,
out there and
no,
measure
but
that?
you're the head person.
Yeah, I'm the mayor, and for my 5 cents an hour that I work for here, I think I should go out there and measure that out and see whether it's the right place or.
Well, to me, it wasn't doing your job.
Oh, okay, well, that's fine. So please reflect that in your vote next time.
Well, I'm sure I probably will.
Thank you. I would appreciate it. Unfortunately, I think I agree somewhat that we didn't go out and measure every piece, which is something that we will think of in the future when we do this stuff. But I wasn't aware, because I looked at the previous map and it looked like it coming in between the two houses, but unfortunately without going out and measuring what his lot sizes were, where it actually did come, then we would have known for sure, if we move it sideways 10 feet, can we move it sideways 10 feet? But then of course we also had the problem where we couldn't even move the apartment, so I don't know. But, unfortunately it's where it is, Mary, we can't change that.
I asked that question, and they didn't answer it. I mean, I'm not being mean here. If you look at your minutes, I asked that question.
But,
And I'm the one that's gonna suffer.
But he's the one that, we don't know
He
that he went
lied.
out and measured it. But did he go and measure it? He might have looked at the thing the same as we did and went, well, it looks like it's going between it. So, I don't
So
know.
how many more projects do we have in this town that we're gonna be messed up because we didn't do our job?
I don't know. You should run for this job.
I would, you
should
probably
run for
wouldn't
this
like me.
job.
You probably wouldn't like me.
It's fine. We work with everybody. It's what's going to do.
Can I ask him one more question? Is he actually gonna finish everything? Can you guarantee?
We can't, look, he's a contractor.
Yeah.
We can't guarantee whatever he does.
So he started this, and all of a sudden he says, okay, I'm broke.
Yeah.
Now what are you gonna do? You gonna finish putting the street in? Is the city gonna pay to put the street in?
No.
So what are we just gonna have that dirt lot out there? If
Yeah.
he turns around and says,
That's-
no, I ain't gonna finish it?
That's right.
Guaranteed that's what's gonna happen? Because I don't,
No.
somebody's gonna come back and I don't think it's gonna end up coming out like you guys think it's going to. You've seen the dirt work being done out there. I mean, it looks horrible. You don't even have to be a contractor to look how they move dirt back and forth, back and forth. Look at it out there. You guys ought to know.
Are you an engineer?
I don't have to.
Right, so it's the same sort of question that I
Just
posed
look
it
at
before, is
something. Look,
it?
you see how high the, you see
We've-
what he's done out there on the, in the Edgewood Drive? You see how high that dirt work? Logan, you've
I
went out
understand
there.
he's moving dirt, but I don't know the process. I'd be naive to say I do.
I'm not gonna say I'm,
Again-
but I'm just saying, I'll watch it.
And again,
I
and no
see.
disrespect, but again, he is a private developer. He's hiring his own contractors or his own internal contractors, whatever it may be. If he does go under, he goes under, and then he'll probably sell the land. And
So
then,
you're
and
not
then,
gonna, we're not gonna the city is not gonna step in and help him out.
no,
no.
We have no reason to step in there.
That's what I wanted to know.
We
I
don't,
just
we don't
figured,
wish to have a
I
road
just
there
figured,
unless
okay,
somebody's.
This guy's gonna come up and say, hey,
no.
we wanna, I can't afford to put this street in, so we.
We're not putting
But
it straight in.
the only thing I can guarantee is, yeah, I would never vote to support a private developer to finish a project that he claimed he would finance by himself or through federal money or whatever, but not through the city, no. I wouldn't have any worries though, because as soon as he does, say he does decide to back out of it, then that PUD goes away, right? Then it has to be back to an R1, R2, R3. That's when we rezone it, correct, Daniel? Am I speaking out of line there?
Oh, you wouldn't rezone it, it just revert back to that.
Right, it revert back to the zoning. And then if he does sell it to somebody else, they would have to go through the same process to just, hey, I wanna do this or that, and we'd go through the same process we did with the.
If he pulls out.
Yeah, if he pulls out, so
Okay.
I wouldn't worry too much about that,
Well,
but I understand.
I heard earlier, he was having trouble getting money to even get started. That's what it was.
Well,
You know, and
it's,
now.
the
and
trouble
now
is,
it- Now they ain't doing nothing.
do you know how many people, he's not the only guy doing this. So that's the part that we,
Oh, Wesley, I, you know.
Exactly, I mean, the guy who's doing the contract, the earth moving
owns it
works,
now?
is the guy with the money, so, which isn't the same.
I don't know who owns it now.
I don't get it.
May I just say one thing?
Mhm.
You have made us out to be people who are fighting against progress. That's not the case. We came the very first time and asked only for the 3-story apartments to be moved. Now, please let me
Well,
finish.
that wasn't the only
Please-
comment that was made that night, though.
Please let me finish.
Mhm.
You have accused us of being anti-Webster City. You've said a few things that weren't very nice, and I'm sure we did too. All I'm saying is you've tried to make us out as the enemies. All we were trying to do was to save our homes.
Well,
As
actually,
we saw
no, you
it.
did say quite a few things that weren't quite right.
Would you like to repeat them?
I actually wasn't at that meeting that you all came and took over the thing and closed it down and said a lot of things that were probably you should never say in your lifetime.
That was,
Which,
that was not everyone that did that.
well,
And
it was
also-
most of the people in the room
also,
here at the moment,
the
so
city
who's
should
here
have
from that group,
informed
so.
our
Yeah.
group
Yeah.
that those people were not paid, that they were simply people here in Webster City who were doing a job, and these people thought that they were being paid for this. They did not understand that they were just local.
You're talking the other board?
On the
He's
zoning,
talking about the very first board,
Okay.
the zoning board of adjustment.
the board.
Volunteer. Yep.
I
Yes.
believe one of the members halfway through the meeting said that, but I don't believe the comments stopped at that time either.
I don't
And
think it was made very clear.
But
I
I do know.
happen to know that that was the case, simply because my husband has been involved in this type of thing, so I happen to know it. But not everyone knew it, and they took it personally to this. And yes, that was wrong. Some of the comments you have made, Mr. Mayor, were not very nice either.
About YIMBYs and things like that, just saying from my article. I still stand by my article.
Oh, that's nice.
Thank you. Yes.
I'm talking about.
Thank you,
other
that's
things
all
like
I
my
have to
fence.
say.
Hmm? Your fence?
Yeah, was that a nice comment?
About your fence?
Yeah.
I think your fence is offensive myself.
Well.
I mean, if you put it up, in my neighbourhood's nowhere near as good as yours, and I think if you put it up in my neighbourhood, I'd have a complaint about it. But so I mean, it's you might want to thought twice about that one, but that's for you to do. It's your property. You can do that at the moment. Yes.
I live in the area, but I'm not as directly affected as some of the people that have been commenting. What
Brent?
is the plan for the
Brent?
electrical power?
Can you come up?
Sure. What's the plan for the power lines that run adjacent to Edgewood? Are
They're
they-
eventually gonna be underground.
They are gonna be underground? Because I figured the heights of the apartments were probably gonna be over above that, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. The only other major thing that I've noticed is just the change in elevation out there. Are there adequate drainage infrastructure concerns that have been addressed there? Because it seems like the water runoff is gonna be pretty dramatic.
So when they proposed them moving the apartment, that was one of the things they discussed, is that part of moving the apartment was messing up the drainage system, and I can't speak very well on it, but that was a big part of that design.
So they have those retention ponds that are there.
Because I do remember, I don't remember the date or the year, but I do remember one significant rainfall that the water came down Bicentennial and went into the basement of the property that was formerly owned by Ivers. I think subsequent to that, you guys put some drainage in that ran south to the water tower direction. And that was one of the concerns that I've just noticed lately as I've seen all the dirt work down out there.
I mean, if I remember right, that's retention ponds connect to that southbound drainage somewhere.
Yeah, and we're actually in every step. I mean, we're working with the engineers and developers on those specific utility questions or concerns as they further develop and detail their plans. We're reviewing them and bringing to their attention and requiring them to make adjustments as necessary so that it doesn't negatively impact our system or any portion thereof.
Those have been my observations, other than the obvious concerns I had if I was closer to the project probably. But, the elevation changes definitely noticeable.
Anyone else? Nope. Did we haven't voted on that yet? Have we?
We don't have a motion or a second.
Do we have a motion on approving the preliminary plat for Dean Ridge subdivision?
I'd move to approve.
Second.
All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Motion approved. Item 13 is a resolution authorising and approving execution of an amendment to real estate contract between the City of Webster, City of Iowa. Oh, no, that's the one we did. That's the one we no longer want. 14 is a first reading of a proposed ordinance, an ordinance amending the Code of Ordinances of the City of Webster, City of Iowa, 1996 by amending section 106.1 3 pertaining to landfill disbursements.
I think it goes back in 2007 when the city council first established a landfill fee, that way of ordinance to be included in every electric utility customer's utility bill. I believe, if I remember correctly, that amounts to roughly about $3, and it was tied to the county's solid waste commission and their landfill out southeast of town here. They assess the city in every community in Hamilton County based on population, and recently have reduced their assessments to the city. But as they've reduced them, some of our costs that we've always incurred for processing material that deters and keeps material or waste from going to the landfill and thus incurring charges for the city and the residents. So with the change or the reduction of the Hamilton County Solid Waste Commission reducing their rate, we're proposing an ordinance that would also allow the city to use the funds collected from the fee currently in place on the utility bill to be able to pay for part of the cost that the city incurs on other aspects and services it provides, such as the tree site, the composting site, good community cleanup. Those are expenses that are generally incurred through the general fund or other city funds, provided that there are funds available through the funds collected in the utilities. So it won't change the fee or the rates. It will just be any funds that are available would be authorized to be used towards the cost of processing those materials.
So long story short, that, I guess people of Webster City would not see any change of their landfill rate. However, we would, and the excess we have, we'd use for other things tied to
Correct.
waste in the community.
I have two comments on that. One is we've had this landfill fee for quite a few years, and I've had people ask me, okay, we've got trash man, you're paying $3 a bag, and you're paying so much to get your trash hauled off. We've got the landfill out there, we've got the recycling, and that takes care of it, that type of situation. But the real concern I have with this is now we're taking money that is collected for this and now converting it or transferring it to something else, and I don't particularly like to see that happen. I think what we do is reduce the land fee charge, then come back and instead of modifying what we have, let's come back with a clean proposal and see how that goes. I just, now we're just kind of getting in the same type of situation where dicing and cutting and pasting to make something out of something we have. Now we're gonna try to add to, make it different. No, I'm opposed to it. It's just.
What do you mean by clean proposal?
Well, let's say, okay, it goes down and so we're paying $3 a month for the land fee. Okay, then let's let the people in Webster City see a reduction in their landfill. Then if it comes back up, then it go back up. But I don't wanna see holding it at the same rate, then transferring the money or redistributing money for something else.
So would you want to see the other services cut back then as well?
I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is you're taking a landfill and you're gonna start diverting part of the funds to something else. Let's just have a clean proposal on all the other stuff we're doing.
And just so I'm clear too, we're sustaining those services as is to the general fund right now,
Correct.
right? So we're not, even if we do make a cut, we wouldn't lose any services. However, the services have to be funded from a fund we can do other things with. I get what you're saying, Jim. I think, I totally understand, hey, if there's a savings, we should pass that on to the consumer and the citizens, but it's a very small fee.
No, I realize it's a very small fee, but the point is, we are just, if you look at the taxes we pay, then you look at the fees we're paying. Fees are an exorbitant amount of the cost of living in Webster City. And I mean, $3 is mox nix when it comes down to it, but let's make a change. Let's do something for the people of Webster City as opposed to balancing out the book for the city. It's all gonna come out anyway, but the point is, we've got that landfill fee. So if we take it down, let's take it down. Then if we have to modify something else, then that's where the bean counters come back in and make a proposal to us. I mean, let's do it that way. I don't like because sure as dickens, we're sitting here, we got 30 people in the room. Somebody reads about it next week and they're gonna say, well, what the heck happened?
Well, to me, we're still using that money to better the community. I mean, it's still at their advantage. We're reducing the waste that goes in the landfill, which benefits everyone, right?
Legally, it would have to tie back to something related to landfill.
I think that's why in the ordinance and the memo it spells out, it has to be service or processing of materials that would otherwise be diverted from going to the landfill. So like this morning, this past weekend, with all the storm damage and all the trees that were picked up by the street crews, if that isn't going to the tree site, it's going to the landfill to be disposed of.
But the county already has regulations about putting biomass into the landfill. So, I mean, it's not gonna go out there anyway.
We have a constant problem with the amount of tree waste we got. And we've actually just found a way of getting rid of some of it. But otherwise we're receiving and dealing with more every year. And at some stage here, we're not gonna be able to afford to do it anymore.
What are we talking here? Like, what amount would this equate at the end of the year? What does it?
For the landfill fee or like the processing?
If we left the fee the same, what type of pool of money would be sitting on it for a year? Because I'm saying, is this something that would be impactful to up our game with the tree dump and area or other recycling amenities or something like that? I mean, is there something that we could up our recycling and trash capabilities in Webster City with that excess money?
No, there's not enough.
Because I don't think it's gonna be that much, right?
That's why I thought about that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, I believe the overall reduction to customers was, I believe, less than $1 or roughly around $1.
What percent of change is that? 30?
Yeah, off of $3.
3%.
Yeah.
So we're looking at 33% of $36,000. So roughly 12 grand, a little over.
And we do have, I mean, we do have this problem that's growing there with at the tree dump. It's, we've been growing that more and more in that 5 years we've been here.
And at some point we'll have to haul it away or do something with it.
Well, we just did that with a site here at Kendall Young, wasn't it? And we just did that, and we just about filled it already, and we haven't, and I don't know if you've been out there, it doesn't seem like we did anything. So, we are looking down a problem here in the future, but hopefully.
The hauling isn't the expense. The greater expense is the processing, which is the grinding of the tree debris, and then the composting or the sifting of the compost to separate the trash from the debris that's left out there. I mean, that's generally what we're trying to absorb the cost, because that number of processing that waste is growing every year. The cost to do the community cleanup has an inherent cost associated with that, and that cost comes from general fund, i.e. property taxes that are collected, sales taxes that are brought in, things of that sort. So, I mean, if you want to reduce the rate, I mean, that's fine, but just bear in mind that the cost of processing and maintaining those services are growing and are going to continue to grow each year.
I'm comfortable the way the ordinance is written to specify what it's gonna be used for, to continue to collect, use it for those purposes.
What did you say?
Yeah, I am, I mean, we're very lucky to have a service like the tree dump and.
Please state your name and address.
Sure, I can do that. Outside the city, but just been
Well, then
listening.
you don't really have a say if you're
No.
outside of the city. So.
Just a suggestion, Dwayne Noffey, 1755 190th. I've just been listening to what you said, leaving the landfill fee at $3. Would it be advantageous to put like an explanation, this is where your landfill fee dollar is going in the utility bills?
Actually, at times it probably wouldn't be a bad idea, because I do have some, we do have some new people who come to town occasionally.
Sure.
And think that fee on there is
Right, say it all goes to landfill.
Well, they actually put garbage out the front of the houses thinking that they paid for it, because it's there on their utility bills. So, and that is actually a fact.
That's just, I mean, transparency or whatever you wanna call it, say, okay, we're paying landfill fee, but it's not all landfill, it's part tree dump, it's part this, it's part that, and I think that would eliminate the whole thing. But it's, are we making money on landfill fee? No, we're spending in other areas, this is what your money's going for. It's just a suggestion.
It's not a bad suggestion. Thank you.
City center.
You can move to town based on that suggestion.
Sure.
But you're right, because there is actually surprising how many times in a year when somebody who's new to town says, and they put their garbage out the front of the house and they turn around and say, well, I paid the fee, it's there on my utility bill. So, be nice if we could get it done for $3 a month.
All right, where are we?
We need a
So
motion
we have a motion.
to approve first reading of the ordinance.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion approved. Item 15 is a motion to set a time, place for the town hall meeting. We had August 27th, Monday, August 27th would be available at the middle school. I believe we've got a fairly tight, isn't that the only time available?
It's the only
soon?
Monday.
6 o'clock?
Be at 7 o'clock, generally we do town hall meetings. And it seems we've got quite a few people in here tonight. We do normally ask if anyone has any ideas what we should talk about on the night, so if you have any suggestions for things, for the topics or whatever, we would like to hear.
By then, would the students from Iowa kind of have their hands dirty yet on any projects, or have they jumped in yet? Or?
I think maybe pretty early.
Okay.
Yeah. It'd be pretty early for them,
I think they start school that day.
Oh, did
yeah.
School starts the 23rd.
2030.
Well, school for us, but we were talking about
For
Iowa, college,
Iowa State.
for the college kids that are coming to do that, work on that stuff, yeah. Lindsay will probably have a fairly good idea as to what more, what's more specific and what time frame and things. I believe someone's coming this week. Will they do? for the murals part of it. But
Yeah, I think they're slowly starting to trickle in, but I think it's still be too early to.
I think they might be selecting
No,
some sites.
the 27th at 7 works for me.
You wanna make a motion to do that?
I'll move set the town hall meeting date and time to August 27th, 7 PM at the middle school.
I'll second.
All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. It's an easy one. What about some suggestions?
Becky, you got any suggestions?
They probably wouldn't want to hear mine in public tonight.
All right, we'll wait
If
for
I
the
have some,
27th.
I will probably bring them forth that night,
All right.
or previously in an email to you, or a,
Sounds good.
but thank you for asking.
You bet.
Courtesy goes a long way.
May I ask, what is the town hall meeting consist of?
It's just, it's a topic, so the councilmen themselves turn up and, I mean, generally we did it in the start, like, wasn't it just for you to ask us questions, I guess, but.
It's designed to be more of a informal, not so rigid set agenda, open discussion on community events, upcoming projects, to hear your feedback on projects. I guess it'd be similar to like a roundtable discussion more than a council meeting. And we wanted to have 4 a year or 1 quarterly, if you will, just because we figured that would be a good cadence for projects and that type of venue that couldn't be really discussed at a bi-weekly council meeting.
Thank you.
So if you had any things that you thought we wanted to talk about, then there's no reason why you can't bring up what we talked about tonight, because that's fine too. So, nothing that pops to mind at the moment? Well, we do always struggle with some content for it, but we'll think on it. So. If you have any thoughts, send them give us a call, let us know, or contact us somehow and let us know.
A couple of things we've done in the past, we had the community college deal, and sometimes we forget the original purpose. It sounds like more presenting than it is listening.
Mm-hmm.
We wanna, whatever, if there's a presenter, let's keep it short and sweet so that we can hear from the people. That's what the whole intent is.
Yeah, we've had a few people that have come to tell us something. But
Yeah.
True. Some of those, if we wouldn't have had that, we wouldn't have had anything though, so.
I don't know if that's true or not,
And it's a good point. I mean, I really would encourage just, candid discussion on topics and blunt questions on things that maybe concern you or maybe you're a little gray on. So please bring them and please tell others to come with those questions, because, one thing I find there's misunderstanding or miscommunication on some projects, that it's always best to kind of at one time a united front kind of relay all the information that we can legally share on topics and vice versa, and then gather feedback from people in the community of what their barometer is of certain projects and their thoughts.
Well, I'm thinking just in general, we were misquoted and misunderstood why we were coming this evening. And I think more publicity and more honest things put in the paper so we know what we're dealing with.
I'm not sure what you mean by publicity for. Which part did you get?
You mean putting the town hall in the paper? Is that what you're saying?
Well, something, it used to be such as this zoning deal that was tonight, which we misunderstood, should have been in the paper.
But it wasn't zoning, so that's why I'm not understanding where. I'm not understanding where the miscommunication came from.
But it was for the public, and we are the public. And so, why do you think we're sitting here? Because we have a misunderstanding. I mean, I know the zoning is all finished, but the way we were told is that it was going to be rezoned.
So who told you that? That's what I'm not trying to understand.
The neighbors. And people called them
Did you read
I
something?
didn't know. I was in Iowa City,
Okay.
and
And somebody
Elena
called you?
Rasmussen called me and said, you need to get
Yeah, well,
on
he called me
No.
today and thought it was about the LMI stuff is what he came and called me.
Well, I think he called Mr. Welch too.
Yeah, he did.
Okay, and you said you didn't know nothing about anything.
I wasn't familiar with the low to moderate income
And then,
request.
Well, it was, see, there's some LMI written in on the other one that we started with.
Yeah.
with the,
That's what I said.
and that was the confusing
We want
part of it.
more
I think.
clear.
Well, if you, I guess the trouble is if you read the packet.
What didn't I do right?
Big
Could
pardon?
you tell me?
What was that?
You're saying I didn't do something right, and I wanna know what.
Well, the information
Well-
is out there. You can request an agenda and any item information
But
on the
we
agenda.
shouldn't have to, it should be in the paper so we know what's coming out.
And there's, it's sent to the paper, what's gonna be on the agenda, and I think the paper and the radio pick, you know, what the highlights are gonna be and what they're gonna discuss. But the agenda is posted here in City Hall, it's on the website, and if you have questions about being confused of an item, then call and find out if, should we be there, or is this something that we've been misled about?
My point is, we have been misled.
Well, our agenda packet is sometimes 150 pages, and we can't put that in the paper, because then the taxpayer money would be paying for
Why is it
all of the attachments and everything else. So if you can think of a better way to get all of that information to you, so you have the right information, we're very open to that.
I mean, the website's the best source, right?
Yeah, the website, but I understand there's people who don't use that type of
Right.
So
communication.
Do we take one to the library, or did we used to?
They used to, but I don't know if it's done anymore.
No.
Because I've had people ask about that, but also
The
there was.
library will look it up for you on their internet and show it to
But
you. so.
I guess we all got an email today about a lady couldn't open it. And, you know, so it should be something that's open, you know.
Well, she couldn't open it, because, well, I had emailed that to somebody straight away, and they did open it, were able to open it, but we're wondering if that partly was because, depending on how good your internet service was yesterday, internet was not doing very well yesterday, and of course,
Yeah,
the packet was much larger than the packet previously, which means it would have been easier to open, but anyway. But I do wonder, you know, fortunately, the good part is that we actually had 3 things on the agenda tonight that are very similar, and I'm wondering if there was some confusion then because of that. And that might have been one, and the only reason I say fortunately is because generally we don't have this many things going on with real estate that overlap, look the same. And I think that might have been where some of the confusion comes.
Maybe getting back to what Carol's saying as far as advertising it, can't you put something in the utility bills? Then we get something in there about free backpacks and free food and this and that. Can't we put in something about that this forum's coming up? Or maybe some highlights of the city council meeting? And as far as the 27th night, can we show up that night and have questions to be
Yeah,
asked?
you can always show up and have questions. You can show up every council meeting and have questions.
The night of the 27th, are we going to be able to present questions that night that we have not presented it previously to you?
Yeah.
When
Okay.
have
When have you ever been
Just wanted
restricted
to
for
make
that?
sure.
The beauty of the town hall is that the only agenda item, other than maybe a presentation or so, is questions from the crowd. So anything's fair game.
And I
Okay,
assume
but I
you,
think something like Carol's saying, people need to be more advised about it. Not everybody has a computer nor wants to have one and go online. Everybody practically gets a utility bill. You can put something in there, just I don't care, a little green paper or pink or something that says, city
Well-
forum, blah, blah, blah.
That's a whole another deal, because we dealt with our machine tonight to load that, and unfortunately it does 2 pages, and half the time we already have 2 things
Ask
in
for
there.
volunteers to come down and stuff a little piece of paper in your bills.
Well, we did think about that with the amount of money we're paying for this new machine, but unfortunately we didn't think we'd get some of that cheap. So.
You know what we should do, Becky?
Oh, yeah. I could
Because
do a
it's
lot
the
of things.
season, right? The political season. Maybe we should invite some candidates there, right? And we draw some people out and
Yes,
try to get people.
Connie Evans, Lot 4, Block 7, Juanita Heights Edition, Webster City, Iowa. While we're talking about the council packets, Yes, they are available online if you can get to them. But I really think that when they're not available until usually after 5 o'clock on Friday, and our only chance to review them is Saturday and Sunday and maybe Monday before we come to the meeting, that maybe some effort could be made to have this information made available. I don't know how you guys have time to get through it all. I skim through the agenda and then poke on the blue ones that are most interesting to me, and I never read all 150 pages. If they could just be out a little bit sooner, give us another day or two.
I mean, some of this stuff is right up to the line for him to get it in there, and if we don't give the city hall that time, it's gonna delay stuff like this. We're gonna have to wait 2 weeks down to the next city
Like,
council.
what from this
Like
one would get, what from on here would have been delayed by 2 weeks?
The plat confirmation, you know, we would've had to wait 2 more weeks.
Well,
Is that a big deal?
Bert getting his property, 2 more weeks.
Well, you
I think she's
brought
asking.
it up. How about when we burned down the building and it was a month later that we finally let out bids to clean up the mess?
I guess what
That
I'm
was
getting
the whole
at
month right
is
there.
they don't have it done Tuesday and sit on it till Friday. Right up into the end, they're getting it together.
The one comment I will make to Connie's point is, the first 2 years on the council, it was put on a jump drive and hand delivered to our homes on Thursday afternoons. So it's possible. Yes, there are some last minute things that could come in, and you're right, I would love to have another day or two to be able to process some of this information instead of cramming for a test, if you will, over the weekend. But, yeah, I mean, maybe that's something we can address with, the future administration, is kind of, hey, maybe we'd like to have the council packet, or the council agenda finalized Wednesday and publicized on Thursday. And whatever doesn't make the cut, just doesn't make the cut, so, it's a good point.
You amended this one tonight, if something urgent came up that needed to be discussed without waiting for 2 weeks or 3 weeks if it's at the end of the month, to, agenda it.
The amendment didn't include any attachments that had to be included.
And
Pardon me?
The amendment didn't include any attachments or material that had to be included.
I understand that. Could it have?
No.
Because we would have to give how much notice then? Or it has to be in public a day or something?
24-hour notice that you have to post at least 24 hours in advance of the meeting.
That could be done in a way.
Okay,
More comments?
Again, I think we're kind of splitting hairs here. I agree, Connie. It'd be more ideal to get the agenda out as soon as possible to the public and give them as much time as possible to digest and educate themselves on the topics to be discussed and the information that's going to be discussed. I agree 100%. And maybe that's something that we could set in the future to have deadlines to help meet that. But again, there are last minute things, and I totally understand the agenda being pushed out as late as it's gotten, but.
And I understand what you're saying, but that doesn't go back to Carol's question and problem that she has, just being, we could have it out a week before, but if they don't know how to get that information, then.
If it's not made very clearly, I must be just too slow to catch it.
Well, no, I do think that there were some similarities between those two things tonight.
Oh, thank you.
Because there is
You finally
reach on
agree.
both of those things. So it is, for someone who isn't dealing with it every day, it is a little more confusing.
Thank you.
So, you are correct. Well, we'll move on. D is reports, recommendations of officers, boards and commissions. We have a motion on Planning and Zoning Commission minutes of July 23rd of 2018. Call for a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
I think you just accept them, not approve them.
Yeah.
To accept and place on file.
Okay.
I second to accept.
Says scroll for me. My bad.
They kick you out.
You mean I ain't got one wrong? Okay. We gotta say all those in favour?
Yeah, we
Vote
need
on
to vote.
All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion approved. Well, it's accepted. Are there any council committee reports?
Just let everyone know, we have a slightly different makeup of the Youth Advisory Commission, some new members, taking over back in late May, June. I basically gave the students the summer off just because they're traveling and it's herding cats, trying to get everybody together. So in September, I plan on bringing the new members in and getting it going again.
You have the full, we still one short?
Still one short.
We're still one short.
Middle
Middle school?
Yeah.
Okay. So any middle schoolers out there that have happened to be watching? keen people on the,
I'm sure
on
there's,
the holidays
I'm sure there's
watching this.
thousands of middle schoolers watching right now. 'Cause it's the hottest show in
If
town.
there's one, send in and I'll buy you lunch tomorrow. Yeah. Okay, so, we don't have any other reports and recommendations? We have an update report from Zach, City Attorney.
Yeah, so July again is another busy month for us. We completed the conditional loan agreement that you guys have previously approved with Parent Industries. That's I spoke with John Perrin, president out there, and he's progressing. And actually, are planning on this month actually start manufacturing some items. So that's exciting. And then in regards to the Dollar Tree, as you guys have seen, they've now broken ground. We closed on that. They paid us not only for the sale of the ground, but also for half of the alley overlay project that they were required to pay for. We received all those checks, obviously delivered them, and they have begun the process of excavating, if you drove out there at all. And then the thing that keeps us the most busy is abandoned properties in town. We filed an additional 6 properties. We're now up to 11 properties in the last, since July of last year, that we've either taken, tore down, or we're in the court process. We have one that's hung out there since July of last year. It was set to go to trial again. It was set to go to trial in March, got continued, set to go to trial again in last week in July. Got continued again.
What was that? I
Is
don't.
that the one on Elm Street?
Yes.
Oh, God.
What was the situation there? Because again,
I haven't heard the words.
So, it's public record, I guess, so I'm not too worried about sharing that he was filed a continuance because he was ill. Judge denied it and said, gave him an out, that if he got a doctor's note, he would continue it. He got a doctor's note the day before trial. We were fully prepared, had witnesses ready to go, everything filed. My trial scheduling conference was this morning, and we got bumped all the way until March 13th of next year.
So what people need to understand though is we're ready.
We're ready.
We got everything lined up.
We've been
It's out
ready
of our hands.
since March of we've been ready since July of last year to go, and it's a solid case. I feel really good about it. I feel really good about everything that we've done. Like I said, this is the life that we live. Unfortunately, when you don't deal in the legal profession, it becomes frustrating, but it's even more frustrating to me because this is honestly what happens all the time.
And that's the frustrating part is somebody would come up to me in public and be like, we're not doing our job, that should have been in court by now. We're ready.
We're ready.
Wait.
Yeah. And it's just the way, fortunately, it falls out of our hands in these situations when they ask for continuance and they either get one or they put stipulations on getting it and then they meet that stipulation and it's done. I mean, I don't even have a chance to, even this morning I argued to try to get it in front of this year still, and they said, no, the earliest they would give us is March 13th.
is it their caseload? Is it?
We share a judge with Hardin County, and that's the problem that we run into a lot in Hamilton County, is we split a judge, and judges are only in certain sessions in certain areas. And like, for example, we had Judge McGlynn up until August, then he leaves, goes to Hardin County, and then he doesn't come back again until September 4th through October 5th. In the meantime, we have Ellefson, but we share him with a different, we're constantly, when we're splitting judges with Hardin County, and there's a new court rule now that even makes it worse for us, is that they won't allow you to book 2 court dates on the same day. So example, we're only a half-day trial, we're only scheduled from 9 o'clock till noon. We won't even go that long, but it's scheduled for that. They won't book 2 court dates on it. And they used to, you could book a ton of dates, because they get settled out typically. So unfortunately, it's just slowed down the process, and we're just one of the few that could take the beating the most.
So March of 19, huh?
March 13th of 2019.
If it goes.
Is it a Friday?
Unless he's sick that day.
Is there any way that we could legally have somebody go up and clear that brush and all that garbage around that place?
So, we're mowing it currently.
I understand that, but you look at the stuff all the way around it, it's just.
Right, and we've talked about this a lot, and there's 2 thought processes with it. One is that if we do the work for him, it makes our case worse, right? Because the problem is that the property has not been touched or messed with for now going on, July of last year was when we brought the first case, let's say, but, so if we clean it up for them, we're actually not doing ourselves any favors. So that's one issue. The other issue is obviously we wanna keep it mowed, so that it's not such an eyesore and such, just overgrown that it's affecting the neighbors' properties in that way. I mean, I get it's ugly and I get that there's issues there, but at the same time, we wanna make sure at the end of the day, we win.
We've been clearing the snow and stuff like that, I know.
Yeah, and I already told Lisa, we might as well get the notices out now for the snow removal for this winter, because we're gonna be doing it anyways.
Because we ran into that with the ice back down, so. Yes,
Since it's public, can we have the address of that?
Yeah, 1013 Elm
I
Street.
think it's 8, no, I think it's 8 or 900 block it out, maybe it's 10.
I think it's
Is it
1013.
Yeah.
I think it's 1013. Don't quote me, but
It's on the south
There's a
side
bunch
of
of them he's working
Elm.
on.
yeah, when I got all these, I can probably list off most of them.
It's a home.
Yeah,
It's
it's,
a house, it's
Elm
a
Street.
white house.
It's on the south
Well,
side of the
I'll give
road.
you the address.
it's a white house covered in vines, so
It's on the south
it's
side
like a
of the
greenish
road.
white house.
Is it Edith Fisher's house?
No,
No,
Dwayne Carlson's house.
Dwayne Carlson.
Why is that name?
Well, for the longest time, they couldn't find Edith Fisher, knew where she lived.
All right,
Okay.
thanks, Zach.
So,
10:14.
10:14.
That's pretty close. I said 1013, yeah, 1014.
So,
Yeah.
item F is closed session, meet in closed session to discuss the purchase or sale of particular real estate, only where premature disclosure could be reasonably expected to increase the price of a governmental body would have to pay for that property as provided by chapter 1.5J of this Code of Iowa. Call for a motion to go into closed session.
Second.
All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We'll have a 5-minute recess. Thanks, everybody.